Hello, I would like, we are going to go now for the end of the last session today. So it is the presentation of the CROWDTHERMAL core service. And then we are going to have the discussion panel. I would like to thank all the participants online. It was a very long day, we can say. And I hope that you have enjoyed all this the conference. We are really sad that you are not all of you here with us, but we adapt to the situations, and we are very happy that we can use this technology in order to have all of you present and share with all of you our outcome. So the presentation will be done by Marcio Pinto. He's a worker for La Palma Research Center, and he's the leader on this elaboration and put together all this service that the project will deliver. And after this presentation, we are going to have this discussion with the members of the panel. Thank you, Marcio.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much for everybody who is here and also attending online in this conference. Thank you, Isabel, for the introduction. So my name is Marcio. I work at La Palma Research Center, and we are leading this work package on putting together all these CROWDTHERMAL tools that were developed by the partners in the website as web tools to be used effectively for our target audiences. So yesterday, first of all, just to introduce the context, yesterday we had a consortium meeting in which we initially discussed these current tools and how they are going to be presented. And also, we already had a round of input that was collected and considered to be improved. And after that, the next milestone is to make it available for stakeholders to also have a round of analysis, try to use the tools and collect their feedback so we can make it as effective as possible and as useful as possible for our target audiences. So just to introduce where it's going to be located. So in CROWDTHERMAL website, there will be in the main menu, this core services webpage. Now it's not yet public, but just to introduce you, what are the core services? So from work packages 1, 2, and 3, as we were discussing throughout the day today. So in terms of social aspects, such as public perception and also social license to operate, also the financial aspects and risk mitigation. So all the partners produced very useful reports, guidelines, and analysis on these items. And now the idea is to deploy them on the website. So this is just an introduction, the first paragraph to introduce you what we're going to talk about. Then there is a video from the campaign Geothermal Talks with an interview with a former colleague introducing these core services. And at the end, you're going to see 3 main columns. The top row tells you what kind of stakeholder you are, but there is the bar that kind of hides it. But the idea is to separate these tools into different stakeholder groups. The first one is the community on the left. The center one is the project developers, and on the right, local authorities. And based on, sorry. Yeah, meanwhile, just to present. And then we separated then these tools into these 3 different groups according to what's our estimate of what would be useful for each stakeholder group. So just to see you an example, for example, the first one, the online decision tree, as you can see on the right, all these tools will be like a drop-down list. So you can click, have a short description of the definition, and then a link that will take you to the tool. So I'm going to briefly introduce you one by one. So, okay, yeah, the first one. So the online decision tree. So it was developed by the University of Glasgow, and it offers an overview, workflow with questions regarding the social, environmental, and financial factors to implement in a geothermal project, So the idea is that to present you is on the right, as you can see, there is a question. The first one will be what phase of the project you are at. And based on your answers to these questions, you're going to be guided in the workflow and to the end, where you're going to have conclusions on how to best address those concerns. And this decision tree comprises the social aspects, the finance and risk mitigation tools. So the target audiences would be mostly project developers and local authorities, but of course, everybody who's interested in these aspects can benefit from that. So just a quick example, I chose a short path here of this decision tree just to make it fit in the slide. So just how it is going to work. So on the right, there are the questions and the possible answers, and based on your situation and your project, you're going to be guided until the next steps slide, which is your recommendation. So in this case, it's just an example. This will be live, so towards the end of the month, and we are still improving as we speak now. We are still improving with the help of web developers, a company specialized in web applications, so they are reworking on that. So just to jump to the next one, the interactive guide to integrated finance in geothermal energy. So this is a useful tool for community investors and also project developers to select the most suitable alternative finance scheme based on how you want to engage with your community, the community profile. It's a step plan that Christina in her presentation mentioned in the last slide. So there are several steps that you can consider in order to choose the best alternative finance and risk mitigation scheme according to your target audience. So the idea is that you're going to go through 8 steps, and each step has several questions that you should ask yourself in this process. And then each step is going to have a text box. This for you to provide your answer. So to answer to these questions, sometimes the question will require a text. Sometimes it's to fill a table. So the idea is to have this input based on these best practices and recommendations. And meanwhile, you are completing these steps, report is being automatically generated in the background. And in the end, you can download this report, and this could be a useful tool to assess what is your starting point and so you have a background study, let's say, on what is your situation regarding these key steps to follow and your answer. So then you can find additional help afterwards and help you guide through your development of the project. So the toolbox for risk evaluation and mitigation is the third web tool. So this is very technical, and it's mostly addressed to project developers and also financial stakeholders to perform an economic modeling of a deep geothermal project. So key aspects to consider when modeling a geothermal project. So this is a live spreadsheet that was implemented on the website, and it contains the different sheets contain, for example, CapEx, OpEx, geological conditions, and financial characteristics that you're going to be able to access. So this can also be a good input for further help and consultancy on how to best perform this economic modeling of the geothermal project. So this tool is also being improved by the web developers, but the idea is to implement as a live spreadsheet on the website. Another web tool that is being implemented is the implementation framework for community-based geothermal development. This was a report that was compiled by Geoplat with key aspects from the work packages 1, 2, and 3. So the social aspects, regulative framework, innovative finance mechanisms, and also risk mitigation. So, and the idea is for community investors and project developers to have to consult best practices from the CROWDTHERMAL project based on the case studies in Hungary, Spain, and Iceland. So this report comprises all these aspects that you can see on the right. And then ideally you can have a better assessment on how to implement them in similar political conditions or geological conditions, also public perception settings, so things to be replicated. So these are best practices. And this report was made in an interactive way. So as you can see, this will be implemented as a tool that you can jump straight to the key points that depending on your interest. For example, social aspects, you can click on the left on this table of contents and you're going to be redirected to this page. And on the bottom, you can see several actions to take. So you can zoom in or select specific parts of the text. You can print or share on social media and also see it in full screen. So there are several ways to consult this report. Another web tool very useful is the meta database of geothermal projects. This was developed by the European Federation of Geologists. So this is a database of geothermal projects in Europe, in which you can register your project in this platform. And the idea is that you can browse through the projects in Europe, identify the ones that are using alternative finance methods to fund the project. And also, of course, this will help you with the networking. So just a quick example, this is also under improvement. As you can see, it will have an effective map-based search engine to search for the project. And at the bottom, you can register your own project and also receive guidelines on how to do that. So regarding information catalog for self-learning, this is more an educational tool, more static. And the idea is to digest the results from CROWDTHERMAL regarding deliverables, work packages, outcomes, and fact sheets, and to make short wiki articles with simple definitions to explain, for example, when we talk about social license to operate or community funding. So for the users who are not familiar with that, or even communities who don't understand well about geothermal energy, for example, this can bring some kind of insecurity. So the idea is to make it as an educational tool, separated in different sections. So as you can see, there will be geothermal energy, alternative finance, social aspects, and risk mitigation. And each of these green or blue buttons is a different article. So when you click, for example, under this alternative finance, you click on community funding, you have a quick explanation on what this is. So you can be familiar of the CROWDTHERMAL pillars and what we are talking about. And if you need extra and more complete information about it, you can see on the right, there is it's a little bit small there, but on the right, you can see, let's say, further info, and it's divided into related core services. So from these articles, you can consult the core services or the web tools that are related to it. So in this case, the community funding, you can access the interactive guide to integrate finance in geothermal energy. Also, you're going to have the related deliverables of the project, not only the deliverable where this article was extracted from, but other related deliverables. And in case the article has a scientific reference, this will be also listed there. So you have the opportunity to have further information about it. And finally, the frequently asked questions. This is a tool that has a similar structure as the previous one, but it's more straightforward and even more precise in terms of more straightforward information. So it's a tool that is widely used in several websites, and the idea now is to make common topics of CROWDTHERMAL to be understood and explained in a non-technical language. So the idea is that mainly community investors can take advantage of that and solve their doubts about, for example, environmental factors of geothermal energy and other concerns, but also social aspects and risk mitigation factors. So then both the wiki articles and these frequently asked questions you can share on social media. As you can see, you're going to be redirected to another page where you can have social media icons, also references. So the idea is to spread this to your network, and then people are going to be more familiar not only with the subject that you're sharing, but also all CROWDTHERMAL pillars and CROWDTHERMAL as a project as a whole. So these are being implemented still. We are using the help of web developers, so as I said, professionals in the field who provide the recommendations, and soon they will be available for you to test and provide their feedback. So for now, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcio. I think, okay, well, you don't go to so far because we are going to invite the member of the panel to join us here. So we invite please Gerard from Strasbourg. I would like to invite Otto from the Iceland case study. And we have Alberto from Spain. It is they are project developers and very important project developers in building construction in Spain. And they have even when we say that the geothermal energy is not very much developed in Spain, they have a lot of experience already. So it is. Then I would like to invite online. We have Joaquin Villar.
Hello.
Sorry?
Can you hear me or?
Yes, we hear you and we would like to see you if it is possible.
Okay. Now?
Perfect, Joaquin.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Joaquin Villar, he work. He's director in the European Andalusian Agency of Energy, and so you can say that it is he represents local authorities, but also at the same time he's quite engaged on the involvement energy communities. So it is why directly I will start later with the questions for the panel. And I will start with you, Joaquin, because you have like a double perspective, no? Your work of the local authority, but then I would like to know why is you consider that it is so relevant, the involvement of the communities in the energy transition. So it is, I know that you have experience on the creation of energy communities in Spain. And based on that, I would like to listen your reflections on this subject.
Yes, thank you. I'm not the general manager of my company. I'm director of the international department. Is the first, consideration.
Yes. Is the Andalusian Agency of Energy.
Yes, exactly. We are a public body on behalf of the regional government of Andalusia. And yes, responding to your question, yes, we think that the energy communities is so important to develop because it's the way you engage people in this energy transition, is the way you engage people to share energy. And for us, the most relevant point when the European Commission is trying to promote at the European level this kind of energy community, for us, the most important thing is that we can involve in these energy communities to vulnerable groups. That's when we are talking about renewable energy, you know, that's it's quite difficult for this kind of group to be involved in energy projects. Usually you have a lot of measures related to, for example, energy efficiency measure or discount in the energy supply. We call bono social in Spain or something like that, but it's difficult when you are talking about renewables to engage this kind of people. That's why when we talk about energy community, and I'm not the only one who say that. I come this comment directly from the energy directive. That energy community is a way to engage to combat against energy poverty. So we are running several projects trying to build these energy communities in Andalusia. It's true that for us the main motivation is the vulnerable groups, but it's true also that energy communities is creating every day or every week we hear at least in Andalusia, that a new initiative is coming from in this way as energy community. We have already identified 24 energy communities in Andalusia in different stages. There are some of them that are more advanced. Most of them are related to local authorities. Local authorities has a very, very important role in promoting these kind of energy communities, from giving them the access to public buildings, to be the place where you can install this kind of renewable energy that can share with others. They have promoting financing for these kind of communities, providing fiscal discounts or other elements. So local authorities has a very, very important role. This is my first impression about this, but we can continue talking a lot on this.
Thank you, Joaquin. I would like also to ask Otto the experience in Iceland, no? Because again, it is we notice in this case study that the involvement of the community, it is an important asset on the energy. In your case, it's just in the extend the use of renewable energy, geothermal renewable energy. But why is so important for your perspective, for your experience on the working with the community? Why you find that it is so relevant, this involvement of the community?
Well, we are doing this for the community. I mean, we are. I mean, everything. I don't know. Maybe it's a bit sort of abstract to say it, but I think everything we do, in some sense, we want to try to do it for the community. And we do projects in communities, and I mean, in order to gain acceptance, I mean, it's tricky. I mean, in our case, it's easy because you have the acceptance of the resource, you have the acceptance. I mean, it's a small project. You have the. I mean, people like the concept and see the mutual benefits, especially if somebody is willing to sort of put it up and pay for it, etc. You know, but it's very difficult, especially when it comes to sort of bigger topics like the energy transition and sort of. I mean, when you want to change habits, you know, then of course it's a. I mean, we are not changing maybe much. I mean, of course, yeah, maybe in some sense we are opening eyes, you know, of the community to new aspects of utilization. Okay, maybe it's not 100% correct to say that we're not changing anything. I mean, of course, we're introducing new ideas of innovative use of geothermal energy, and yeah, so maybe it's a new way to think about the resource use. And of course, that is the same. That I mean, then in that sense, perhaps you could also apply it in a sort of on the more grand topic of the energy transition when you're trying to replace fossil fuel based energy sources with renewables. If it's geothermal or if it's solar or wind, you know, it's but I mean, you know, the inclusion of society is essential for a successful project, I think, you know. Otherwise, it's it can leave prohibit their progress.
So this is we can say the first aspect of the CROWDTHERMAL, no? It is empower the society. But then at you listen during all the day, we also try to use alternative financial schemes to involve the community. And I would like to ask Alberto, because you have experience as promoter of some aspect. You can explain a little more your activity, but you promote geothermal energy in buildings. I would like to know your impression about these alternative financial schemes. If as promoter could be a contribution for the involvement of the citizens and guarantee some funds for the project. What is your impression?
We have exactly 11 dwellings with geothermal energy, and I think we have a lot of expertise in this way. So our clients they are very satisfied with the system, with the technology, because they have comfort, perhaps is the most important, and they have a lot of benefits in the electrical bill. So with in this moment, I think it's the very best technology in this way.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that it is, we presented different mechanisms, no, to participate as community in the project, no, like crowdfunding with equal, and do you think that this, as a promoter, that could be relevant, or is more,
No.
it's not so relevant?
No, as a promoter, all is private financiation. So this is my point of view in this case as a promoter.
Mm-hmm. What did your impression, Gerard, from the project that you are running in Strasbourg?
I think that definitely it would have improved the social acceptance or the aftermath of an industrial accident, as I told you before. And in that sense, I think that if we had taken all the steps that have been described here before, with all that social science applied to the acceptability of projects to reach a project that has a massive impact on the territory, we wouldn't be in this situation. But clearly, I think it's an added value. And we all agree in Strasbourg that for us, deep geothermal energy won't come back if it's not with some very different scheme of kind of project, and definitely crowdfunding or other financial alternative financial schemes should be there in order to gain acceptability that we totally love.
Thank you. I would like, I don't know if we have some question for the audience at this moment, no? But just as a general question, you notice Marcio has presented the tools that we try to have. It is web tools to support the different group of users. And I would like to listen to your opinion and your impression if that could be useful. Because I think very often, when for example, the community, we receive the request as a project coordination from sample communities that, we are happy to develop a geothermal project in our village, but how we can start, how it is, how we can, this is the steps that we need to follow. Or we also are in contact with some project developers that they are really interested to know more on how they can engage the society, how they can participate with community funding. So based on this request, it is this product that we have tried to produce. But I would like to listen to your impression if this product could be, you think that would be useful? And this is a question to all of you, just to listen to your opinion about these tools. Joaquin, perhaps because you are online.
Yes, thank you. No, the first thing I have to say is that congratulations to your project, because I didn't know this tool, but I would like have time in the coming days to check more in deep the tool, but I think is quite wonderful to have this kind of tool, especially, for example, if we talk on energy communities, because energy communities is a hot topic now, as I mentioned, and there's a lot of, there is not so much information on this. So to have one place in which you can have information about other initiatives, how to finance this kind of initiative, or a place where you can contact directly with developers and so on is important. At least I know that if we talk about energy communities, there is at national level, there is a web page where you can find the energy communities running in Spain, but the information is not so there's not so much information on this, and of course you cannot find there tools as developer searchers or something like that. But as I say, in this moment, we need this kind of tools because there are a lot of uncertainties from the technical point of view, from the legislation, how to establish energy community in Spain, the different juridic forms that you can have in these energy communities. Maybe in other places in Finland or in other or in other countries in Europe, you can find this kind of energy communities more developed because there is a tradition for cooperation in this kind of projects. But at least in Spain, we don't have these experiences. So to have this tool could support us. We are talking about energy communities. We, as you may know, we are collaborating a lot with other energy agencies at European level, at national level. We found that our needs were more or less the same, and the need was information. We need information. We need to share information. So we established 3 months ago a working group on energy communities at national level. And our idea is more or less in these directions to establish some web or internet place where you can find initiatives, when you can share documents. So again, congratulations, because your initiative is fit quite well with our needs.
Thank you, Joaquin. We are going to contact you, because I think that could be an excellent platform to support the split up on the outcome. What is we continue with the table? What is your impression about this initiative for the tools?
Well, from my point of view, I think it's difficult to convince society to engage geothermal, but it represents in our project. It represents no more than 1,000 euros in the final price of the house.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a little esfuerzo. I don't know how to say esfuerzo. Effort, yeah. But the final client. So I think it's available to implant these technologies.
I'm as a local government, I'm also involved in another project where we helped create an energy community in Strasbourg. So with a bunch of citizens that were really convinced about climate energy transition, and we've been working like for 3 years, mainly for photovoltaics. And during these 3-4 years that we've been working together in creating this energy community that we called actually the energy brewers, because in Strasbourg you do a lot of beer, so I don't know why they decided to have the name, the energy brewers. I've seen that the whole process was very complicated, even if for photovoltaics in very small rooftops in schools, the whole thing was not very easy to navigate for someone who's not working or not professionally dedicated to energy sector. So when I just saw the tool, I said that that could have been really useful in order to help people establish if the origin of the energy community was we need or we want to do a geothermal project because there's a district heating in our neighborhood that could be done. This kind of tool was definitely necessary to just navigate through the whole thing. So I think that this will be really useful from the citizens, from the side of the local government as well, because there are a bunch of questions that have to be answered, and we have like here sort of a template that is definitely very useful for continuing projects.
Maybe I'm a bit biased, but however, I mean, I think this exactly this point sort of on the navigation. You know, I think this is, I mean, to me this is maybe the essential feature of the core services. I mean, it's to get a good overview of which aspects. I mean, because there are so many aspects you have to consider. I mean, it's the financial, it's the social, it's the technical aspects. I mean, it's so it's if for nothing else than to get an overview of all these different aspects, because I mean projects are complex, and you know when you're in the society and immersed in society, I mean things can become very complicated. So yes, especially for the aspect of navigation, I think this is a very good tool to give an overview of the different aspects that project developers must consider in that sense.
Thank you. I don't know if we have another question online or here. If it is not the case, I would like to invite Alberto. I know that you have experience in a geothermal project in Spain. We say that we don't have too much experience, but apparently you have some slides that you can share with us. And we'll be very glad to finish, we can say, with these examples of good, that we can say that it is just the beginning. We hope that in Spain, geothermal energy came really strong at the end. We are happy to have all the day with us idea that it is the more important authority on energy in Spain. And we hope that help us to really push up these technologies. And so if you want to share with us the slide of the project. Okay. So. So, okay, it was a misunderstanding. Okay, but in any case, I think it is it's good to know that we have companies that I think you work on that because it is a profitable technology, and slowly we hope that the demand is increasing, and soon will be an important contribution for the energy transition in Spain. So with that, I would like to ask Margarita to say some words to wrap up.
As we said at the beginning, we've been working for 2 years in this project, trying to get geothermal closer to society and to give society enough tools to start at least thinking about in promoting a geothermal project. Today in this conference, we try to show all our work, the work of our team in CROWDTHERMAL. We are especially glad to have the chance to hold this conference in Spain. We are at the very beginning of many advances in geothermal to come. We really thank all the participants, the online participants, as well all the speakers that have been the whole day here with us, joining this conference. All the speakers, companies from every point of Europe as well. And we really encourage all the neighbors, districts, local authorities, and any kind of stakeholder or agent interested in the geothermal sector to contact with us in CROWDTHERMAL, because we have many more to offer you and to try to support your project in geothermal in your community. Thank you very much. And Isabel is going to say something about the future as coordinator of the project.
So for the future, what happened, because this project will be end at the end of this year, December 2022. So what will happen? I think it is, we are all the consortium, we are a little sad if all this work will be lost. It is why already we have decided to create an alliance to continue to work in long term to keep in life our activities. There are several partners that can offer a consultant service, and that will be like a platform to support the link between the potential users of the tools, and we can recommend for more advice using the consultants system. But even more, yesterday we discussed that already in the metadatabase of project that we have already, we have over 70 geothermal projects in Europe. And until the end of the project, we hope that we are going to be around 100 projects. So we are going to work with all these projects to create also an informal alliance in order to have a networking system for sharing experience, collaboration, etc. So this is a little the future. And then I would like just to say also a good news that happened just today, that it is, you notice that we have a presentation on foundation geothermal foundations. It is about this thermoactive pillars. And we have a good news just for today that the European Eurocode 7 is just prepare and have include an annex to guarantee that we have thermoactive geostructure design. So what they try is that until now, in some countries exist already a very well, we can say, standard for this structure, but in many other countries, because they are not sufficient standard, all this area have been stopped. So since today, we are going to have the Eurocode adapted for these designs. And so it means that, again, it will be especially for cities where we notice that there are the implementation of the thermoactive geothermal structure could be an important asset for the geothermal energy. So we are going to have the frame, the standard frame at the European level for that. So this is a good news that I want to share with all of you. With that, I think we are going to finish today. Thank you for the participation, especially for the online participants. That it is a little more hard that we keep online during so many hours. And thank you, Joaquin, to be with us online. And thank you all the participants. And again, I want to say that we have the open by the Secretary General. Secretary General, and we have the participation of members of IDAE that are being with us all the day. Thank you to all of you, and see you soon.